Joining us. An absolute pleasure to connect with you guys through the I Love CVille Network. We truly cherish our time with you guys on this platform. We are live on every social media platform known to mankind, wherever you get your podcasts. Kevin Yancey, Jason Howard, welcome to the program. 5 states I see on the feed watching us right now: Scottsville, Crozet, Greenwood also watching, the city of Charlottesville, Albemarle County, Fluvanna, Louisa, Orange, Arlington, McLean, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Williamsburg, and Newport News, viewers and listeners in each municipality live on the show. The premise of the program is to have frank conversations about this community and long-form content. And we do that Monday through Friday, 12:30 to 1:30 on this program. The conversations can be uplifting, they can be positive, they can be conversations that champion the underdog. The conversations can be awkward and infuriating and hit topics that are sensitive, points of concern. We talk small business, we talk finance, we talk equity, diversity, we talk the educational gap that's widening, the wealth gap that's widening. We ask questions of elected officials and superintendents and people in positions of authority. And we do it in straightforward fashion. And we do it with thick skin. And we do it with a nose for news. And today's show is going to be no different. Alex Urpí in 17 minutes on the show, the CEO of Emergent Financial Services. Judah Wickower, J-Dubs, back in the saddle today. I want you, the viewers and listeners, to give J-Dubs some props on the program. I thought Joey Rifkin did a hell of a job directing the show last week. Not only with directing the program, but offering perspective and commentary. JR crushed it. It's great, however, to have my right hand and J-Dubs back in the mix. 10 plus years of working alongside each other. Inner Circle family, J-Dubs and I. I'm going to start with news that you will get nowhere else. There's been a lot of discussion around the Democratic Party of Charlottesville here in the city. Frankly, around the Republican Party in the city, the Democratic Party in the county, the Republican Party in the county, with business folks about who's going to run for city council next year. The scuttlebutt, the speculation, the talk, the water cooler conversation has been a handful of names. We know for a fact that Lloyd Snook is running for re-election in 2023, the mayor of Charlottesville. Why do we know that for a fact? Because Mayor Lloyd Snook said it in that chair right over there. Can you go to the studio camera, if you could, please, J-Dubs, and let us know when that studio camera's on? Studio camera's on. In that chair right there, Mayor Lloyd Snook confirmed that he's running that chair for re-election in 2023. So we know a man that works right down the hallway from us, 30 feet, 35 feet away from this studio, who confirmed on this network, on those microphones, that he's running for a re-election. He's in the mix. The chatter has also had University of Virginia student Bryant in the mix, and community organizer and activist Tanesha Hudson in the mix. Today, I confirmed that Bryant is not running for Charlottesville City Council in 2023. We had a Facebook message exchange. She explained to me, and I'll read it verbatim as I mentioned to her that I would. I am not running for Charlottesville City Council. She's focused on pursuing a PhD. She's off the list. You've now confirmed that you're not running. We move on. Thank you for confirming that news with the I Love CVille Network. Tanesha Hudson, I have reached out to her multiple times on social media, and Tanesha Hudson has not confirmed either yes or no. I reached out to her on September 26th, which was last Monday, 8 days ago, and I reached out to Tanesha Hudson on Sunday. She currently lives in Albemarle County, Tanesha Hudson. So for Tanesha to run for Charlottesville City Council, she will have to establish City of Charlottesville residency. You can't run for Charlottesville City Council and live in Albemarle County. Tanesha lives in Albemarle right now. Public record, Charlottesville GIS, Albemarle GIS, public record. It's all public record. So, news for you. Bryant confirmed with me today. She is not running. Thank you for confirming that news, Bryant. She is focused on being a UVA student and, as she said, applying to PhD programs. Tanesha Hudson has not responded to multiple requests. I have heard from 7 individual people in and around the Democratic Party of Charlottesville that Tanesha is telling folks she is running for city council. She's also been quite active on social media, even more so, discussing ways to solve issues and problems in this community. And I salute and applaud her. Zai and Tanesha follow news in this community as closely as I do, as connected in this community as I am. And in straightforward fashion, I encourage everyone and anyone to get involved with local government. As Neil Williamson, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, likes to say, competition in local government, more folks running for local positions, is good for the locality and the jurisdiction. Even if we don't necessarily agree with someone's politics, having multiple parties, having open seats, and having multiple parties run for those open seats is good for everyone. To put this in perspective, the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors is 6 people. Jim Andrews in the Samuel Miller District ran unopposed. Ned Galloway, the Rio District, ran unopposed for a second term. Diantha McKeel, the Jack Jewett District, ran unopposed this past election cycle. So there's 6 people on the Board of Supervisors in Albemarle County. They manage a jurisdictional budget that's north of $400 million. And of those 6 people, 3 people, Diantha McKeel, Ned Galloway, and Jim Andrews, all ran without competition. All are friends of this show. Diantha's been on the program multiple times. Ned's been on the program multiple times. Jim Andrews has been on the program once. Ann Malik has been on the program multiple times. Donna Price has been on the program once. Friends of the program here. B. Lepisto Kirtley has not been on the show. Only one of the 6 who has not been on the show. Charlottesville City Council has 5 people. You got Mayor Lloyd Snook. You got Sina McGill. You got Brian Pinkston, Juan Diego Wade, and Michael Payne. All 5 of those have been on this program multiple times. Multiple times. Tomorrow, retired Charlottesville mayor, retired Virginia delegate, and talented published author David Toscano will sit at this table and chatter local government with us. It's long-form discussion, uninterrupted by commercials. Long-form discussion that cannot be taken out of context. The I Love CVille Show. Tanesha Hudson, if you'd like, you can come on the show to highlight your platform if you're running like everyone in the community is telling me you are. I welcome you to come on the show. In fact, Judah Wickhauer, can we go to the 2 shot? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I missed you.
I missed you too.
Great to have you back. Scott says, I want to give a shout out to Jerry and Joey for helping out small businesses, A Squared Pizza. Jerry, you deserve major props. Kevin Yancey says, welcome back, J-Dubs.
Thank you.
Multiple people are putting on the feed, welcome back, J-Dubs. Did you see what we did for A Squared Pizza? Andy Argo's Detroit-style pizza. This is the influence of the I Love CVille Network. On Thursday of last week, I'll take it a step back. On Tuesday of last week, when you were on vacation, Joey and I were talking about the best pizza in the area. And we highlighted A Squared Pizza, Andy Argo's pizza. He's an Admiral High School graduate. He makes Detroit-style pizza, you know, the deep dish.
Okay.
Nice thick crust.
Yeah. I think I prefer that to the New York style thin crust.
I like Detroit style.
I like something that I can bite into and doesn't go like this as soon as you pick it up.
Right. So on the Tuesday edition of the show, Judah, we said, Andy, if you bring your pizza over on Wednesday, so Joey and I can have it for lunch, we'll highlight it on the network, on the show. And then on Thursday at 7 p.m. of last week, I posted it all over social media, and we talked about it on Friday's show. From that social media post, from us talking about Andy on the show, he is sold out through November. And into December.
What do you mean sold out? Does he?
He does set amount of pizzas each week. And when they're claimed, they're taken. He's getting orders into February of next year. Scotty Aaronworth has requested pizza for February of next year already.
Wow.
I highlight this to discuss and Scott says we missed you, J-Dubs.
Thank you, Scott.
The influence of the platform. We understand the influence here.
Yeah.
I bring this up with you in regards to Tanesha Hudson. Has Tanesha come on the show?
Yeah.
Do you have a photo of her on the show that we can put on air?
Sure.
Let's put a photo of Tanesha Hudson on the show.
Let's see.
Let me know when that's on. I encourage anyone who wants to talk about intentions or plans in this area, ways that they want to make the community better, even if it's different from my politics and what I stand for, my ideology, it's okay. Okay? I identify with the party of common sense. And I think many of you out there do. The party of common sense for me is not the radical left, the radical right. It's a mindset of fiscally conservative. It's on screen. Tanesha's on screen now. Thank you. Tanesha Hudson's on screen. Tanesha, you're welcome to come on the program, Tanesha. Anytime you want. My politics, and I think you are similar. Vanessa Parkhill, the Queen of Earlysville. I think you're so similar. Carol Thorpe, I think you're similar. Bill McChesney, Kevin Yancey, Kevin Higgins, Jason Howard, the King of Rio. I think you're similar. Aaron King, one of Western Admiral's finest graduates, the Queen of Scottsville, watching the program. Here's how I look at my ideology. Fiscally conservative when it comes to jurisdictional money. I know a jurisdiction has a finite amount of capital and resources. Socially liberal when it comes to the government staying out of our bedroom, staying out of our business, and not using iron hand big brother tactics. I hate that jurisdictions, hate's a strong word, hate's the wrong word. Jurisdictions that utilize rooftops, real estate, and personal property to drive their jurisdictional budgets, those types of taxes are regressive and negatively impact the human beings that are currently living on the financial margin. And folks on the financial margin are not just folks that are unemployed, fresh out of college, but they're also retirees living on fixed budgets. I had this conversation, I mentioned this conversation earlier in the program. Earlier in the week, excuse me. I was doing FaceTime with my mom, Judah. And I want you to jump in. FaceTime with my mom. My mom is tough as nails, a Cuban immigrant. My mom and Mima and Papi, when my mom was in 3rd grade, immigrated from Cuba right before Castro, when Castro took over. And they went from a middle-class lifestyle in Cuba to dirt poor in Miami, Florida, and then Naples, Florida. Mima and Papi went from middle class in Cuba to hotel maid and ditch digger in Miami and Naples. They put my mom in the 3rd grade into an English-speaking school when she spoke no English. She was ridiculed mercilessly. Until this day, when this comes up, she gets emotional. I think it's probably PTSD in some capacity. When a 72-year-old woman, when we bring this up, still you see emotions from what happened to her in the 3rd grade. But through this process of immigrating from Cuba to America without speaking English, from going from middle class to destitute in Miami and Naples, it made her tough as nails. Like tough as nails. And I'm on FaceTime with her the other day, and I noticed, Judah, and viewers and listeners, I noticed my mom's hair that was always jet black. Now, granted, that jet black was done at the beauty parlor, as she calls it. I think today it's called the salon. She'd get her hair done. She had a nice bob, always looked good, always black, her hair. And then the other day, it was completely gray. And I said, Mom, well, you know, what's up with your hair? And she said, Daddy and I are on a fixed income. We're retired. And our retirement accounts are down 25% because of the stock market. And we're having to figure out a way of how to cut costs. So one of the sacrifices I made, she said, was we're not going to the salon. I'm not going to the salon anymore. I'm not dyeing my hair anymore. I'm not getting cut anymore. And she said that, Judah, not looking for sympathy or sorrow, but she said it matter-of-factly. Like, this is what I have to do because of this nature of the economic environment we're in.
Yeah.
And it's a microcosm of folks that are retired or living on the financial margin, what incremental what tax increases on rooftops and personal property will do for them.
Yeah.
And guess what? And you jump in here. The city of Charlottesville is going to raise the real estate tax rate. That's coming next year. And it's coming at the exact same time that assessments are going to be up again, that inflation is beating us up, and that our retirement accounts are down 20 to 30% depending on how they're positioned.
Yeah.
That's regressive. And it leads to gentrification. And it creates a wealthy, homogenous community that lacks diversity. Show is yours. Welcome back. I've missed you tremendously. Anything you want to cover, I will adapt to you.
Oh man, yeah, I don't know where to go with that. It's I don't know why you'd be raising tax rates on houses, especially when there's been so much talk about housing affordability. I mean, and we've got prime rates going up, which means that anyone without a fixed rate mortgage is going to be getting hit really hard.
How about credit cards?
Credit cards as well.
Your credit card debt is floating debt tied to prime.
And we have more people than ever that are using credit cards to pay for food, to survive the inflation, and which means that food is costing them even more because they're paying higher costs on the food because of the inflation. They're using credit cards because they can't afford stuff because of inflation, and then because the rates are going up, the payments on those payments are going to go up as well. So it's going to be a rough time, and if they're going to start raising tax rates on rooftops, I don't know what people are going to do. I don't think. Let's hope the housing market is back in swing next year, so that people can sell their houses and move somewhere more affordable.
Judah Whitcower back in the saddle. Kelly Jackson says, "Welcome back, Judah. Great to see you back on the show." J Dubs is a household name. I love having you back. Sincerely missed you. Sincerely missed you, family. Look, guys, it's an uncomfortable and awkward topic and commentary. The dollar is not nearly what it was pre-pandemic. What's the dollar now versus what it was, Alex? Alex is in the green room here. A dollar in 2019 versus a dollar now. A dollar in 2019 and a dollar.
What you can buy or just
Yeah.
currency?
Was it like 86 cents?
The volume had 11%. I mean, yeah, it could be. I mean, probably somewhere between 80 and 90 cents.
80 and 90 cents. So a dollar, and we'll talk about this with Alex Urpí, the Antonio Banderas of Finance, the CEO of Emergent Financial Services, and all-around A-plus guy in about 6 minutes on the program. A dollar in 2019 is what? Maybe 85, 84 cents. He's doing some quick math. I see the wheels turning over there. 84, 85 cents right now. Think about that. And then I had this conversation with my dad. My dad's a retired CPA, certified public accountant. My dad sold 2 CPA practices that he founded, worked, launched, managed, and exited. 2 of them. One in Florida and one in Virginia. The guy is in definition of an entrepreneur, definition of a hard worker, definition of a grinder, definition of a badass. Definition of it. And he says this to me. I said, "Dad, he taught me much of what I know, my father." I said, "Dad, you're in your 70s, man. Should you be actively trading stocks and equities like you're doing right now?" I said, "Dad."
You mean as opposed to getting a financial advisor?
No, he's got the skill set to do it. You know, he's got the skill set to do it. But I said, "Dad, should you be in these individual positions?" And he said, "What do you want me to do? Do you want me to keep it as dry powder? As cash in an account?
Definitely not.
When it's 15% down? Like we just talked about in 2019 versus now? Do you want it as dry powder?
Buy gold.
Should it be put in sterling? In gold?
I don't know.
Should you be buying euros? I said, "Well, how about real estate?" "Not euros. That's for damn sure, right?" Exactly. I said, "Dad, how about real estate?" He said, "Jerry, I'm 72 years old. Real estate's not the right play for me now. Maybe if I was your age, I'd be doing what you're doing."
I mean, if you believe in what you've got your money in the stock market, then you just got to hope that whatever downturns eventually turn back up. And
We'll talk about that with Alex.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that with Alex. Kelly Jackson, she says she's spending anywhere from $40 to $60 more a week, if not more, in groceries alone.
You're right, about 84 cents.
84 cents.
Yeah.
A dollar in 2019 is 84 cents right now. Think about that.
No,
Yeah.
other way around. So in other words, a dollar now was 84 cents in 2019.
Yeah.
Once in 2019 dollar, we were the $1.16.
There we go. Thank you. That's right. Basically, it doesn't have the same value. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
Where I'm going with this is multiple avenues. A, anyone is welcome on the show. Even if you disagree or we don't align politically, it's completely fine. As long as it's done with a golden rule mindset and in respectful fashion, anyone's welcome. I've had Nakia Walker on the show. She sat right there. Mm-hmm. Secondly, the news that's breaking that you haven't gotten anywhere else is Bryant has confirmed with me she will not run for city council in 2023. Thirdly, Tanesha Hudson, I have commented through Facebook Messenger multiple times and said, Tanesha, are you running for city council in 2023? She has chosen not to comment or respond. I'm hearing from a lot of people connected to the Democratic and Republican parties that she is choosing to run. She lives in Albemarle County, so she's going to have to establish Charlottesville City residence. Next, for the elected officials that watch and listen to the show, and it's just about all of them, please find new sources of tax dollars as opposed to raising the real estate tax rate early next year. Because all you're doing is the antithesis of creating affordability. In fact, you're gentrifying the community, and you're making it homogenous and wealthy with its demographic. And lastly, if anyone thinks capital improvement projects, schools, roads, construction are going to go as planned in 2023 or 2024, you're not in touch with reality. And why you're not in touch with reality is because the money is just not going as far. What was budgeted last year for a school project is not even close to being reality today. And certainly won't be reality next year. The money just doesn't go as far. And the budgets that were done earlier this year or late last year are not even applicable or realistic anymore. And one other thing. Short Pump Mall, 50 miles from Charlottesville, has now applied for a designated outdoor refreshment area, the DORA that I've been championing for 2 or 3 years on this network. Short Pump Town Center wants to allow people to walk around the mall with alcoholic beverages open and in hand. The Henrico County Mall recently filed a request with the Virginia ABC for one of the Alcohol Control Agency's commercial lifestyle center licensees, which would allow Short Pump's visitors to consume alcohol in the mall's common areas. The mall hopes to offer the perk no later than spring of next year, Judah and Alex. The idea is the Short Pump Mall, which is already a magnificent mall, that now you're going to be able to walk around all the cool shops in Short Pump with beer and wine and cocktails from the restaurants within the mall. Albemarle County and City of Charlottesville leaders, if you do not think that citizens and taxpayers from Albemarle County and Charlottesville City will drive the 50 minutes to get to Short Pump, it's a lot more attractive a shopping experience now once this comes into play in 2023. You are literally on the cusp of losing tax dollars at a time of a recession. Please open your eyes and consider a designated outdoor refreshment area for the downtown mall. And if you're concerned about equity, if you're concerned that the downtown mall, a public park, a designated public park, is only being utilized by white, wealthy people, okay, maybe that is the case. Is that right? No, absolutely not. Should there be more diversity on the downtown mall? Yes, absolutely. Is that diversity happening overnight? No. But why don't you do this? Take the designated outdoor refreshment area and allocate the tax dollars to endeavors of equity. Take the newfound revenue from a designated outdoor refreshment area and apply them to endeavors that bridge wealth gaps and educational gaps. You can take the incremental revenue and find plans to create paths of equity. We'll get to the comments. Senor Urpi, if we can get you on set, my friend, to talk all these topics. Kelly Jackson says this, the habit, and I've heard this from so many people, I'm getting DMs left and right from Southwood. Southwood, Albemarle County, urban ring, behind the police station, 5th Street Extended. The Habitat homes in Southwood are starting at $500,000. She's asking, how is that affordable?
Oh, for there? Well, you have to remember, Habitat was more of a program than because the goal of people going through the Habitat program is that you're getting the 0% mortgage essentially and putting the sweat equity. So and Southwood in particular, from what I understand, the goal there is you're moving the residents that were currently there from the trailer homes to that one. So the concern is not, does every market, and there's a mix. There is a mix of market value homes and Habitat homes there. So you're not going to find the same price everywhere in Habitat. And again, the pathway is going to look different in terms of the affordable pathway to a Habitat home rather than just purchasing it out. Like the people that are living in Southwood are not going to the market to get a 7% mortgage to buy a $500,000 home. They are putting sweat equity for a 0% Habitat mortgage to be able to build equity in that home over time. So it's slightly different.
I'm going to pass you, and I have approval to share this. We do not have approval to share this with the person's name. But I'm going to pass you this, and I'm going to pass you this. One of the things about being what we do is we get constant tips on news. A lot of the stories in this area are breaking right here on this network. Home Depot, Fashion Square Mall.
The first place I heard of it was here.
Home Depot, Devil's Backbone, and the old Hardywood location on West Main.
I'm going to be honest, I checked my I Love CVille Instagram, because I don't have a Twitter account. I try to avoid that. I checked my I Love CVille Instagram for news before I'll check like NBC29.com or any of the other websites.
We've become
news websites.
Thank you. We've become a news desert, Charlottesville, because the Daily Progress is employing 22-year-olds that work for 18 months and then they leave. NBC 29 and CBS 19 are doing the same thing. The CVille Weekly is a publication that caters to their advertisers. So it's become a news desert.
That's more longer form. You're not really looking for breaking news in
entertainment.
Weekly. Yeah,
it's a week behind. So they can't be in the breaking news business because they're a week behind.
Exactly. It's the newspapers and what used to be news stations that are really beginning to fall behind in comparison to the breaking news that's here.
Yeah,
because that's where it's falling.
It's in real time. So and I'm going to pass this to you. We cannot use the name. Okay? This is from a resident in Southwood. And I'm going to pass this to you so you can confirm and see it as well. Good evening, Mr. Miller. My name is so-and-so. And I want you to see this too. My mother is a huge fan of you. I have a story about the Southwood community. I'm DMing you to see if you're interested. Me and my parents live in Southwood and have lived here for 16 years. But Southwood doesn't always keep their promises. For example, their workers in the office in Southwood are in charge of mobile homes. And they know the people can't sell their mobile homes because Southwood doesn't allow to do some grammatical errors here. This is English as a second language here. I'll start from the top. For example, their workers in the offices in Southwood are in charge of mobile homes. And they know the people can't sell the mobile homes because Southwood doesn't allow to do that anymore. Including there are signs on the way inside of Southwood that alert the buyers that they can't buy. But yet they still continue to sell the homes that are uninhabitable to live in. The prices they put out are $7,500. That was last month. And now it was reduced to $5,500. Here are pictures of the mobile homes that are being sold. Sent me 4 pictures. I'll show them to you. Please keep my name out of this. Apparently Southwood and Habitat don't work together any longer. I said, I promise you I will keep your name out of this. If you send the photos to public, can you please erase the reflection of the car and the person in the photos? I said I would. Then he says, I said, would you like to speak on the record about this? He says, can I record myself without showing my face? I said, unfortunately, that doesn't work.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
That puts me in a tough spot.
Yeah.
He said, would a call work? I said, it was something like this, we should meet in person and talk on the record. And this particular person said, I'm sorry, because I cannot show my face, because if I do, I might get kicked out of Southwood. I have now his permission to share this without mentioning his name. Okay? I'm going to pass this to you.
Take a look.
Take a look, read. He's a pillar and leader in the Central Virginia community across the board, and certainly in the Hispanic community. We know Southwood is predominantly Hispanic in demographic.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I would read that thread. Take time.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly Jackson puts this on our radar. She's a leader in the community, KJ. She says only one current, this is according to KJ in the comment section. She has ties to this community. KJ, I'll let you explain how you have those ties to Southwood. Did it,
It's still there. Still,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You read it?
Yep.
Okay. She says her friend lives in Southwood, and she says everything that Jerry is saying is absolutely true.
In terms of
Kelly Jackson.
with the mobile home sales?
Kelly Jackson. Put this in 2 or 3 paragraphs that I can read directly on air. So here's the predicament we're in, friends. Here's the predicament I'm in. Okay? I get contacted by a family in Southwood whose mom loves the show. And they've asked us to drive attention to the displacement of residents in Southwood. The residents in the community are saying, or this particular resident, that under the guise, maybe guise isn't the right word, under the effort, let's use effort.
Yeah.
Okay? Effort is more...
Because remember, Habitat bought the mobile home park to prevent developers from buying it and kicking all the mobile homes out. So the goal, obviously the effort is there.
is to keep the locals in play. Okay. Dan Rosenzweig, the head of Habitat for Humanity, you're welcome on this show anytime you want. Dan Rosenzweig and I go way back. He was a soccer coach with SACA and would often come on my sports talk show on Sports Radio 1400 WKAV. Now he's the CEO of Habitat for Humanity. Dan, I love you. You're welcome to come on the show. The family that's reached out to me has said, Jerry, fight for us. You saw.
Yeah.
That's essentially what happened here, right? But they can't talk about this on the record for fear of being booted from the community. You saw that.
Yeah, which is interesting. I'm not sure who would do the booting, but
Kelly Jackson says, everything you're saying is absolutely true. My friend lives there and is going through this now. Kelly, if you could put a nutshell, and I trust Kelly Jackson inherently, put a nutshell of what's going on here, and I will relay it live on air. Johnny Ornelas liking the show and what we're doing right now. We love you, Johnny Ornelas. Andre Xavier liking the show and what we're doing right now.
these are pillars of the Latino community here.
I can rattle off 12 other Latinos that are liking the show and what we're doing right now.
This is a major initiative impacting a lot of Latinos, especially there's a lot of businesses that are in Southwood too.
A lot of businesses.
A lot of entrepreneurship. in that
Running
community.
out of their trailers.
Yeah, a lot of
out of their
entrepreneurship
homes.
in that community. Yeah,
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay? So, I'm bringing attention to this. Will happily pursue this further. For me to pursue this further, I need the following. And people are saying, the mic needs to be a little closer to him.
Maybe I'll
Got that from a handful of people.
I'll position myself a little more in front of it.
I'm getting that text
I'll remember
message.
my 2 fists.
Yeah. Southwood. I am willing to pursue this story. I need, however, folks in the community to speak on the record of what's happening. And I understand that is a frightening proposition for fear of ramification. I'm willing to do it and have the platform and thick skin to do it. I understand that this story is going to upset powerful people in Central Virginia. Powerful people. Developers. C-suites. Executives. Money behind the project. PE money. Comments coming in fast and furious. Kelly's got courage and chutzpah like I do. I love that about you, KJ. She says this, about half of Southwood has left with nothing. The half that is left isn't being told anything about when and how they are going to leave. They can't sell or move their trailers. They can't afford to live in the community where they work. Where are they supposed to go? They can't move over the mountain. They can't afford to come to work to town if they move over the mountain.
Yeah.
Johnny Ornalis, owner of Guadalajara and El Mariachi. I have many friends in Southwood, and it's sad to hear about what's going on. Jerry, maybe some sort of survey in Spanish to get that information. He's happy to help. Johnny, pass this on to the Southwood community. We will use the influence in the platform to help. I need someone on record to talk about this.
Yeah, you need people to tell like exactly what they're feeling, what's going on.
What's happening? This is a story of displacement, gentrification, power, wealth, money, brand perception management, taking a community that is maybe voiceless or does not have the strongest voice, and perhaps taking advantage of them. Colleen Wise Owens, thank you for bringing attention to the Southwood issue, Jerry Miller. The comments are coming in obscenely fast about this. This is the first the community is hearing about this in an on-the-record media setting. I bring this up because we were committed on this show to championing the underdog. That's what the show is about. And can anyone think of an underdog more so in this community than a community of hardworking individuals where English is a second language, where they may or may not understand the nuances of local government, and may fear retribution should they speak up?
That's what you always got to make sure that doesn't happen.
That's the underdog.
Yeah.
Is it not? Now, I know you didn't come in here knowing anything about this, and I'm not trying to put you in any position that is sticky for you. Mm-hmm. Okay? And I too much respect for you for that.
No, I mean I've been involved in trying to help Southwood for a long time. Like it's been on the radar for Hispanics probably more so than the rest of your audience for a while. We've been following it for a while before it belonged to Habitat, even before when everyone was going to get kicked out because they were going to sell it to developers. So we've been following it for a while to make sure it's done right.
Okay. KJ, I asked a resident if there was a meeting at the beginning of the project to let them know what was going on and how they could apply for the housing. And she said there was not. Philip Dow, Scottsville. This is totally sad, and I've heard about this myself. Johnny, I want to help. Jose, I want to help. Colleen, I want to help. Juan, I want to help. Pass that along. Janice, Trevelyan, I want to help. All right. We can keep the topic going on Southwood, and we can also talk volatility in the markets. The last 2 days have been one of the best 2-day rallies in what? A couple of years.
Wow. It's been it's the biggest 2 days of this year, to be sure.
The biggest 2-day rally since March 2020.
Man.
Okay? Judah has trepidation that this is a bear market rally.
It may well be. Some of the biggest days of the market in terms of a single day spike actually occur during bear markets. So that's where you will, because bear markets typically show more volatility than bull markets. You probably heard the phrase that markets go up like an escalator and down like an elevator. So bear markets typically have more volatility, means you're more susceptible, and volatility goes both ways. In other words, in a bear market, you will often see very big days and very big, 2-3 day periods in the midst of a bear market, which don't necessarily signal that you're out of the bear market, but may just signal that it had been, in other words, the pricing was such that a lot of people felt that they should get in at this time.
Jim Hingley watching the program. We love Jim, a talented Esquire, the Commonwealth's Attorney of Albemarle County. He sends us this text message. He's listening to us now. Dollar value is down since 2019 because of inflation, as you have demonstrated. A question: has there been any growth in wages over the same period of time that may offset some of the decline in value of dollar? The answer, from Alex, I will offer some perspective. Wage increase has transpired,
but not nearly as much.
Nearly at the same clip of inflation, cost of goods, and all the other stuff that's kicking us in the you-know-where.
Yep. No, absolutely no. Wages have increased, but not at the rate of inflation.
Kevin Yancey in Waynesboro. Watch what happens to the trailer park in Hogwaller. Eventually, the city will force its sale to a developer and get them out. I want to highlight this. Do some research into Vinegar Hill and how that African American community, where Staples, the office supply store, is, where Laura Fonder's restaurant is, where the old Shabine was. Do some research into Vinegar Hill. In fact, what I'll do right now is I'm going to Google Vinegar Hill, Charlottesville. And gentlemen, Judah and Alex, viewers and listeners, I'm going to click the first link that shows up, which is from Wikipedia. And I'll read a couple paragraphs from it. Vinegar Hill was one of the earliest neighborhoods in Charlottesville, Virginia. Originally a predominantly Irish neighborhood located near downtown, it was bordered by West Main Street to the south, Preston Avenue to the north, and 4th Street to the west. When it was first populated by African American families in the early 19th century, it was called Random Row. George Toole, a local Irish American resident, began calling it Vinegar Hill to memorialize the Battle of Vinegar Hill. It was incorporated into the city in 1835. Vinegar Hill is remembered now for the city of Charlottesville's invasive urban renewal project, which begun in 1964. This project razed the majority black neighborhood. Raze means destroy.
Destroy, yeah.
Destroy.
R-A-Z-E.
R-A-Z-E-D, that's right. I will read 2 more paragraphs, pass the baton to you. I'm seeing potential concerning similarities with what happened to Vinegar Hill and what could or may be happening with Southwood.
Goodness, I would hope not.
2 more paragraphs. After the Civil War, the neighborhood became a thriving center of Charlottesville's African American community. In the decades when the city remained segregated, black-owned businesses in Vinegar Hill served the needs of Charlottesville's black community and some white customers. Although many of the structures in the neighborhood were rented to the mostly black community by white property owners, more than a quarter of the homes and business properties were black-owned and operated. Most Vinegar Hill residents lived without basic amenities like running water, plumbing, or electric. Sound familiar? Southwood. The city of Charlottesville's Health Council did not feel they had adequate power to enforce the standing city code that required each home to have these amenities in every home, including those in Vinegar Hill. Here's the paragraph on razing. R-A-Z-I-N-G. Destroying. And then you gentlemen jump in. And if you'd like to take the fifth or not comment, you can do that as well. In 1965, the entire neighborhood was razed as part of an urban renewal plan initiated in the 1950s. By a margin of 36 votes, the city of Charlottesville voted to destroy Vinegar Hill in a referendum. This occurred in a time where the poll tax excluded many black residents from voting. One church, 30 businesses, and 158 families were displaced, almost every single one African American. 600 community members were moved into the West Haven public housing complex that still exists to this day. Families who had lived in standalone houses now resided in multi-family complexes. The site remained vacant for well over a decade, and it was not until 1985 that a redevelopment project was put in place and the Omni Hotel and surrounding development installed on the neighborhood sites. Shabine, Staples, Office Supply. Last paragraph, and then you jump in. Leading up to and following the Unite the Right rally on August 12, 2017, Vinegar Hill's destruction was a central topic of national coverage of Charlottesville's history. In June 2017, Slate magazine, also a website, published an opinion on the relationship between Vinegar Hill's destruction and Robert E. Lee's statue in nearby Lee Park, now Market Street Park, also Emancipation Park. Just 3 days after the Unite the Right rally on 8/12/2017, the website Medium posted a timeline article about Vinegar Hill, and it was the focus of articles in the New York Times and the Atlantic. Google Vinegar Hill, read the history. It's pretty atrocious. The destruction of a black neighborhood when those in the neighborhood weren't able to vote about the destruction of their own neighborhood. Sound familiar? Anywhere you want to go on this topic, I also respect you tremendously. You don't have to comment.
These are challenging ones because you don't necessarily... History repeats itself, but not in the same way. And so you don't always want to extrapolate current things from past things. I think it's well understood with Vinegar Hill that the goal of raising Vinegar Hill was to remove the black community there. In other words, the health code, it's well understood today historically that the health code supposed violations were a root, in other words, a guise, to use the word you used before, because the actual purpose was to destroy a vibrant and successful, economically successful African American community there. I don't think necessarily, I would highly doubt that Habitat purchased the land as a nonprofit. Their goal is the destruction of Latino communities under the guise of anything else, right? I think that, in other words, what we're trying to make sure is that the process is inclusive of the people that are living there, not necessarily that, as happened with Vinegar Hill, there is a devious undercurrent here. In other words, I think we're dealing with two different situations, and I think it's a little bit tricky to imply or compare that they're the same. We are not to say that everything is perfect in Charlottesville, we are not in the 1960s. And Habitat for Humanity, which is a global, there's global chapters everywhere, and this is one that has been around for a long time. And having worked on Habitat homes, I've seen firsthand the positive that can come out of this. I've done the little volunteer where you go and help build them, right? I don't think it's right to compare in any way, shape, or form Habitat, a local nonprofit, to the city run by people who were outspoken and on the record racists back then, who intentionally raised a black neighborhood. I don't think those things are equivalent. Okay. That would be my 2 cents there.
Fair comment. Fair comment. My comparison is more the voiceless. The voiceless in Vinegar Hill and the voiceless in Southwood. I'll put this in perspective.
I would find out first. My recommendation would be to find out first whether, in fact, as I have heard in the news, that at least when I did the Habitat emails and so forth, I had heard that this was a process that was decided by a citizens council in Southwood there. So I would double check to make sure that there was no voice before. See, in other words, there may be people who didn't participate, but I would double check. And again, I just say this from having received emails indicating the contrary. Email updates. You know when you follow a nonprofit and they send you email updates. I'm pretty sure that this was, in fact, it was recognized in the nation for having been inclusive and involving some of the people that were there. Maybe not sufficient, in which case we can discuss it, but I'm not 100% certain, so I wouldn't want to claim it that no one in Southwood was talked to, that this was kind of like top down on them.
I'll do this. That's fair. That's fair. I will do this. Southwood residents, leaders in Southwood, you have an open invitation to come on the I Love CVille show anytime you want. And I understand that work schedules could preclude you coming on the show in the middle of the workday. That's challenging. We will utilize company resources, including paying our director, Judah Wickhauer, overtime, additional compensation after hours, to do a show, if he's willing to. I know you are a man of big-hearted integrity. You also will be compensated additional for your extra time in the office. We will work around your schedule, including a talk show after hours in the evening, so you have a platform of tremendous reach, listenership, to voice your concerns to the community. The newspaper has 22-year-olds working for it. The TV stations do as well. They stay 18 months and leave because the pay is not good. Few platforms, in fact, I can't think of one besides this one, will cover this topic with persistence, reliability, integrity, and massive reach. Johnny Ornalis has asked us to do an evening show. Pass the message, Johnny, to your friends in Southwood. We will do a nighttime show on this topic and accommodate work schedules for anyone who wants to speak in Southwood. You have my word as a man. Anything you'd like to add? And if there's nothing you'd like to add, I totally understand.
No.
Is this the first you're hearing of this?
Yeah, I haven't heard much about the what's going on with Southwood, so.
Okay. Anything you'd like to add? And we can go to something else if you'd like as well.
That was what I was thinking. I always like to, I'll do some research. I'd like to get to the bottom of some things that are going on as well, because I think it's been something I've been following for a while, and this is the first I've heard of discontentment on this scale.
Okay. To say that I'm getting messages and direct messages about this right now, and in a significant clip, is an understatement. Okay? I have no problem, and anyone who watches this show knows this, utilizing this platform, our influence and reach, to champion or to go to bat for those who have been taken advantage of, despite it positioning me in the crosshairs of power, wealth, and influence. I'm completely fine with that.
And who knows, maybe you can bring some much needed dialogue. Maybe sometimes that's what the issue is. It's just people need to communicate more with each other about what's going on. And you can be a platform for that to happen.
100%. And frankly, we may, and you, is the first, he comes into the show, and this speaks to this man's talent. His man's talent, and does not know the topic matter. This topic was not going to come up on the show, but the viewers and listeners asked us to bring it up.
Question.
and we listen to the viewers and listeners. And it looks like you're about to deliver a take here. You're taking some notes here. This is pretty heavy material we're talking today. I may need your help on the Friday evening show. My Spanish is not nearly as good as yours. And we may need your help to help facilitate an interview or translation.
Want to help.
Carol Thorpe, the Queen of Jack Jewett, has indicated that Tanesha Hudson recently said, very recently, that she will make a city council announcement in January about what she is running or not. I'm hearing from the Democratic Party of Charlottesville that she is running and looking to establish Charlottesville residency now. She lives in Albemarle County. Anything else that you would like to talk about from a jobs number standpoint? The jobs number is positive. For example, August job openings plunged by more than 1.1 million. Mm-hmm. That's good news. Jobs are getting full. You don't think it's good news?
It's tricky. It depends on why the job openings are declining. There were filled jobs. There were also some quits. There were also some firings. The question is whether they're declining because places are seeing a downturn, or whether they're declining because places are getting a little bit of tightness in the labor market. In other words, given
people are
what
getting
we've
forced
seen,
to take jobs because they're running out of money. That's what you're saying.
That's my concern.
Yeah.
Well, and remember, the number of job openings may decline because companies are rather than hiring. In other words, rather than laying people off, if you had 10 job openings, you will now close those job openings without having filled them, rather than laying off 10 people. So that's the only concern, is whether, because you will always see the labor market tighten in the anticipation of a recession. You will also, of course, see the labor market tighten if there was too great a disparity between job openings and number of people. So there's good and bad reasons why that can happen. So I'm not too positive on that news either.
Okay. Another point of concern with the jobs being filled is that translating toward Americans becoming underemployed? Individuals forced to take jobs because they're running out of debt, running out of money, and credit card debt is accumulating quickly. So they're taking jobs that otherwise their degrees or their pedigrees or their resumes would not indicate these are the jobs you should take, but they're taking them because of fear or desperation.
Certainly a possibility.
And if that's the case, the problem you have is a potential contracting economy, because someone who was making X amount of dollars two and a half years ago, is making X amount of dollars minus 25% now, and has to tighten the budget, meaning less dinero for Main Street.
In the midst of inflation.
Exactly right.
Which is part of the issue. In other words, even though we're seeing dollar for dollar, we are not seeing major declines in consumer spending. The problem is that does not take into account the fact that, in other words, $100, if I go to the store and spend $100 today, I am not consuming as many goods, as many actual physical products as I was with $100 a year ago. So the concern is that even though you would look at consumer spending and say, well, Alex is in good shape. He goes to the grocery store and he spends $100, and a year ago he went to the grocery store and spent $100. But if last year I bought 10 items with $100 and this year I only bought 5, that's contraction. An actual
and that leads
economic activity. That's recession right there.
Recession, right?
But for all intents and purposes, because it's combined with inflation, the nominal number doesn't yet reflect that. The nominal number hasn't realized that, hence why we wait for numbers such as real GDP, which attempt, not always successfully, but they attempt to figure out what is actual economic activity separate from inflation, which sometimes the nominal spending doesn't tell you.
It's great to have Alex Urpí, the CEO of Emergent Financial Services, in studio. I'm excited to hear what you have in store for today, y mañana, this Thursday. Jude, I saw you taking notes. Anything you'd like to add to the conversation? Multiple folks watching the show are saying it's great to have you back. It's great to see your face and have you on the show.
Yeah, well, thank you all. I wrote down some notes on some things that I've been seeing in regards to the upswing in the stock market, and how I think it's dangerous to expect it to continue.
And what are your thoughts on that?
Banks are insane. I mean, they were the problem behind the 2008, all the problems of 2008 for the most part. They are currently over leveraged to the tune of $2 quadrillion. Now, derivatives aren't all bad, but this seems like lightning in a bottle. Someone's gotta open the jar soon. Jane Street is actively shorting Japan, which is kind of scary. And and Credit Suisse, who we've all been hearing about recently, credit default swaps. I'm not going to go into what those are, but basically in The Big Short, when Michael Burry and et al. Decided to short the banks, that's what they used. The credit default swaps on Credit Suisse have not only passed the 2008 levels when that happened, I think they're close to double, if not over double, the levels that they were at. So those are just three things that I'd point to some pretty scary
Market conditions.
Yeah.
Key performance indicators.
The UN is warning. Not that
that we're in a global recession.
Yeah, the UN is fearing that the central bank decisions will push us into a global recession because they are moving too quickly, too fast. I'm not sure they have many options, but I would contend we are in recession. I still go by the 2 negative quarters.
We're in recession.
Yeah. So
the spin divers say otherwise.
Yeah,
but
I really don't care what they said otherwise, because the other way is a tautology. That's basically saying we're in recession when we say we're in recession, and that's absurd. So technically, we already are in one. The question is how severe it will be, and if inflation will decline as a result of this, or if they are simply fail into debt. Because the issue we're having is that you have two competing. Typically, you kind of always want monetary policy and fiscal policy to work in conjunction. You want them to work in tandem. They are on two different tracks right now. Monetary policy would suggest we need to contract the money supply to prevent inflation. Fiscal policy is we need to spend money because there are still emergencies. Is what fiscal policy is saying, is what the actual actions are saying, regardless of what politicians may speak, what may come out of their mouths. The effect of their policies in what has been passed and the expenditure of money coming out of Washington says, in real terms, there's still emergencies that we feel we need to spend money on. You and I obviously the three of us here may not feel that that's a legitimate. We may not agree with that, but that's what they're saying by the amount of money they're spending. So they are on two different tracks. One is spending a bunch of money and making large promises. The other is intentionally attempting to contract the money supply to put a stop to inflation. These two things are contradictory.
Yeah,
and the fact that they are means we could be seeing high inflation and recession at the same time.
Yeah, you can't ease and tighten at the same time.
No, exactly.
Alex Urpí, if we could go on about, and I just texted my 145 that we're going to call them at 148. I included you on that text. If we could have about 20 seconds, sir, on Today Mañana. Yes,
Today
sir.
Mañana, two great entrepreneurs are going to join us. We still want to highlight, we still believe that, my dad and I especially, that small business is the backbone of the economy. So two entrepreneurs we're going to have on. First, Dino from Dino's Pizza.
Love Dino.
Nice.
Is going to join us.
Dino's
He's going to come
man.
on. He's fantastic. And then Mary Kay from The Art of Storytelling is going to join us. Another small local business. So we're really excited to bring both of them on Thursday.
I'm looking forward to Today Mañana. The show airs on Thursdays at 10:15 a.m. on the I Love CVille Network.
It will be Xavier and myself back.
So. Xavier, we love you, the closer, and we have the Antonio Banderas of Finance, Alex Urpí, the CEO of Emergent Financial Services. Trust on folks that are experts in the field, like Emergent Financial Services, in times of vulnerability, uncertainty, and volatility. Emergent Financial Services. Johnny Ornalis, I'll close if you want to go on a one-shot with me here. Johnny Ornalis leaves this. The Southwood subject, there is a lot to take into consideration. The Latino community is very complex. You have old and new generations. The old want to keep their heads down and try to make a life for the new, and it's hard to get them to open up. And fear of what we have been through and treated, our voice is not heard or ignored, or it's ignored most of the time. As a son of immigrants, I know what the struggles are, seeing my parents being treated wrong as they were trying to make a future for us. So you have to understand where they stand to be able to help them. The language barrier and the cultural influence of how it's explained play a big problem to get information through to both sides of the conversation. I can go on, but it's not an easy subject. Philip Dowse has very well said, Alex Urpí, and Judah Wickower. I'll close with this. We have really frank conversations on this show. And the topic matter is not puppies and rainbows and sunshines. The topic matter is, to steal a phrase from Keith Smith, real talk. And it's conversations like this that we have to have as a community. And if we don't have conversations like this as a community, then folks that don't have voices are often trampled or misrepresented. I would like to utilize this platform to champion the underdog and to stand up for individuals, whether black, white, Puerto Rican, or Haitian, that are being mistreated. I have thick skin, and I have no problem going toe-to-toe with power and money. No problem. And when it's all said and done, I understand that God has blessed me with talents that are attributable to leadership. And for most of my life, I've utilized these talents in running a business for profit and have done it successfully. We're in a unique position, my wife, my son, and my son-to-be. And that position has offered independence from a schedule and finance standpoint. And I would be disappointed in myself if I look back years and decades from now and realize that I used these God-given abilities to only run for-profit businesses. And that's why you see me as civically engaged as I have ever been. And it's just the beginning. My name is Jerry Miller, and this is the I Love CVille Show.